So yesterday I made a video trying to catch everybody up on the Helldivers 2 controversy, with Sony trying to push a mandatory policy for PlayStation account linking to your Steam account in order to play Helldivers 2. This caused immense backlash, specifically from the Helldivers 2 community, which banded together as a gigantic unit and review bombed the game to overwhelmingly negative. But 5 hours after I posted that video, Sony made an announcement, and that's what we're going to read right here. So this is to Helldivers fans, 10 o'clock p.m. last night, 29.8 million views. We've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players, beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. That is incredible. Gamers' voices have been heard. Gamers reacting and pushing back actually had an effect on Sony, which is one of the biggest problem children in the gaming industry right now, especially with what's going on with Stellar Blade and more recently with the PlayStation account linking controversy. They pushed back and they actually got results. This is crazy. I mean, this is one of the biggest victories for gamers pretty much ever. They go on to say, "We're still learning what is best for PC players and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2 and we'll keep you updated on future plans." And this is all gamers have ever really wanted. They just want to be heard by the people they pay money to in order to play their games. And many gamers are seeing this as a victory, as I just mentioned, because of the fact that Sony has been notorious for not only having garbage security, but also for the fact that it has very recently not taken its customer base seriously when it comes to Stellar Blade, when it comes to other issues. And one of the reasons that people were upset about this in the first place, and I think is probably the most important reason, is that many people in different countries, I mean maybe over 100 countries, would not be able to even play this game on the 30th or on the 6th of May because of the fact that in those countries or regions, the game is not available to be linked to a PlayStation account. You can't create a PlayStation account in those specific regions or countries. So a lot of players were about to get screwed out of playing the game. Now, I know that Arrowhead pointed out last night before this announcement from Sony came down that if it did come down to those players being locked out of the game forever, that they would take action in allowing these people to play. Steam did take action by allowing people to refund the game, despite the fact that they've played for hours and hours on end, which is far past the grace period that they allow you to refund games. But they let people do it anyway, and the review bombs went through. But now Sony is backing down. They've surrendered to the gamers. They've finally listened. It's really amazing, actually, that this is happening. The responses across the board are very positive. Master the TDS, are they actually learning? Savvy, thank you for listening to consumers on this. Hopefully we can talk about censorship next. People are happy about this. Gamers are happy. It's not just the gamers, it's also the CEO of Arrowhead himself. Firstly, I am impressed by the willpower of the Helldivers 2 community and your ability to collaborate. Secondly, I want to thank our partners and friends at PlayStation for quickly and effectively making the decision to leave PSN linking optional. We together want to set a new standard for what a live game is and how developers and community can support each other to create the best game experiences. So what happened was the CEO announced the other day, when this whole thing was going down, their disappointment in Sony, their disappointment in the situation as a whole, and how players were being screwed over. They worked pretty hard internally. They said they were having discussions with Sony, and those discussions apparently worked out for everybody, because now Sony is backing down. There's not going to be any PlayStation linking required to be able to play this game, and I think that that's something that should have been established from the get-go. Another issue I find that needs to be discussed a lot more is why this game was being sold to people in other countries that didn't even have PlayStation account creation as an available feature for people there. My biggest thing is, why were they even selling it then? And I think that that's a mistake that falls upon Arrowhead and Sony. But this is a great day because gamers have spoken and their voices have been heard. A lot of people have been pushing back against gamers lately, saying that, forming petitions doesn't work, speaking your mind doesn't work, banding together and preaching against a corporation that's trying to ruin your gaming experience does not work. But this is proof proof that it works. And not only did the review bombing work, the positive results that came afterward are just as astonishing as the moment that this game was bombed. If you see these reviews, since last night, there's been a huge positive spike in reviews for this game. It's like people followed through with what they said they were going to do if Sony reversed this decision. And it worked out. And now Helldivers fans are changing their reviews back to positive. Within just a matter of hours, 44,085 positive reviews as of today. There were bad reviews, about 16,000, but it looks like players are catching on to what's going on and they're starting to revert back to positive reviews. Even across the board, if you just scroll down the front page of Helldivers 2 on Steam, recommendations from everybody, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up everywhere. The most recent reviews have been exploding with people that found the reviews helpful. Major order complete, we dive together or not at all. 17,230 people found this review helpful. I mean, another positive one saying the Helldivers have secured Sony headquarters. Attention, all Helldivers. The automatons who took over Sony headquarters have been successfully eliminated. Liberty now governs Super Earth once again. Managed democracy shall now continue to spread throughout the galaxy. All Helldivers who fought in this battle shall be commended the highest honor. 14,825. Wow. 13,000. Democracy has prevailed. The game is fun. It has some bugs, blah, blah, blah. And this one's on the 6 as well. For those we lost in Malevelon Creek, I remember losing on Malevelon Creek. That was an insane map. For those we almost lost because of Sony, but most importantly for democracy, it is being pumped up with those positive, helpful numbers. And then another one that says the community dispensed peace with the ultimate weapon, justice. And not only are all of these reviews positive, but players have successfully pushed the game back up to mixed from overwhelmingly negative. So the game was at very positive, and then it got pushed all the way down to overwhelmingly negative with the recent reviews. And then with Sony's reversal, it went all the way back up to mixed. And by the end of the day, it could be mostly positive. I mean, there's a really good chance it's only been a few hours, maybe like 10, 12 hours. And every hour that I check, it goes up at least like 4,000 to 6,000 positive reviews. They're doing a really great job of keeping their word, staying true to the developers who they're fans of, and they're pushing the game back into a positive light for people to perceive. It's really amazing to see how dedicated these fans are. But it's not just on Steam though. If you look down at this post, remember when I was reporting on this post that just got roasted? They said, we have received an FAQ about mandatory account linking and created a thread. This was on the 3rd of May. And that thing was being pwned, like just ratioed up the wazoo by a bunch of thumbs down. I mean, this little emoji right here was in the 20,000s, like the upper 20,000s. So the fans, when they saw that Sony was making this change, they went as far as going into this little post right here and removing all of their thumbs down emojis. They removed them all, and then they went over to the Sony post and just hearted and fired and saluted the crap out of that post. I mean, way more than the negative stuff. So it's obvious that the Helldivers community has pushed through and they have gotten their win, but they're not rubbing it in the developers' faces, which is really, really good. You don't want to trash the developers of Helldivers 2 who have clearly made an effort to make things better. You know, the CEO has expressed how much he cares about this game and the community, and I think that that's something that needs to be recognized, even if the community management team really does need a reformation, a better vetting process and removal of these people, and get people in your community that actually care about what the gamers think and aren't trying to push back on everything that gamers are upset about, because that's what happened yesterday. If you look at Grumps' post here, jokes aside, this is a dangerous precedent. If you become too effective a critic of Sony and Arrowhead and stand up for gamers, they will ban your name from the Helldivers Discord server and personally attack you. This is blatant abuse of community manager power. Worst community management team in history. Fire them. What I think should happen is that these people should just apologize for what they said, because yesterday when this was all going down, even like the last few days really, the community managers were pushing back against literally everybody in Discord. They were saying awful things, expressing their excitement for this change from Sony because they would be able to ban a bunch of people, and just being outright snotty and annoying to everybody that was actually upset about this. The community managers were not on the side of gamers until it was made very clear that people in other countries were about to get screwed out of their purchase for this game and that they were going to be locked out for a long time. And that's when the community managers started saying, hey, you know what? Maybe we were a little bit wrong. But if there is anybody out there that can break down what the community managers have been doing wonderfully, it is that Park Place. Grums calls for Helldivers 2 community manager team to be fired after moderator accuses him of sexual assault. That is a serious allegation. And they were saying that in their Discord, basically banning the name Grums from being spoken about in a Discord, which, by the way, is not right. You should not be doing that. An entire Discord banning somebody's name, banning the mention of a single person. That is just absolutely crazy. Mark Kern, aka Grums, the former World of Warcraft team lead, called for Arrowhead Game Studios to fire their community manager team after one of the company's Discord moderators accused Kern of sexual assault. Someone who sexually assaulted many people he worked with lost his position as CEO, now is a far-right influencer who had people attack more than one of our CMs and their families. And then they go on to say, anyone here who is a Grums fan, please out yourself so I can help you out the door. And that thing got ratioed with a bunch of thumbs down emojis too. When confronted on his accusations, Purple Gion or something like that doubled down, writing slander implies it was a lie. It's just crazy how people hate Mark Kern so much when this guy has pretty much just been advocating for gamers this whole time and just reading back the things that people say. And yes, he has called out Sony. He's formed petitions for things to be uncensored, and he has also called for people to cancel their PlayStation Network accounts in regards to what Sony is doing as a temporary solution. But he's not a bad person, and it's definitely not worth trying to ban his name inside of a Discord and risk making yourself look foolish so that you can virtue signal to people who probably don't even care about Mark Kern at all. But he added, Helldivers 2, Johan Pilestat, this is not okay and your community team is out of control and lying. Also, I am not far right, I am actually left of center, but these radicals have pushed all sanity into a bucket and kicked it off a cliff. But when somebody tried to say something in Discord asking, is that one mod still freaking out about Grums because he can't handle L's, it says this content is blocked by this server. From server moderators, this message was prevented by a auto mod rule created by Probot. So you can't mention Grums in that Discord. And that wasn't the only community manager that said something ridiculous. We've had other community managers say ridiculous things in the past as well, which is something I reported on in the past and in the video yesterday. But as a reminder, we still have Catherine Baskin, the community manager who recently expressed that she's really excited about being able to ban people more effectively, which I'm sure most of the people in the Helldivers community are also excited about not. But that's okay. I'll just give you a reminder of what this person said. Helldivers is pretty woke, dog. Game was made by a lot of LGBTQ and brown people and black people and women, and it's a big satire of jingoism. It amuses me they don't know that Super Earth is bad. It also explains a lot about the world at present, and yes, that is a very telling statement, and by the way, those community managers are still there. Catherine went on to say, another day in March 11th, no, we only ban the bigots, transphobes, homophobes, racists, etc. are not welcome in our community. We had to restrict the topics in the Helldivers 2 general chats for a while because it was triggering massive waves of hate speech which our staff was struggling with emotionally. Now, Spitz was an extremely controversial figure in this Helldivers 2 PSN controversy when they failed to understand why people were upset about it. Spitz said feedback is always listened to, most of it is passed on, and most of what is passed on is considered and goes into what changes we make. When it comes to a requirement from Sony that has existed since pre-launch, I don't think feedback is going to change much. Well, that person was clearly wrong since 280,000 negative reviews plastered all over Helldivers 2 made Sony panic and come out with an almost immediate response to all of the backlash they were getting saying, hey, sorry guys, never mind, we're not going to do this PlayStation Network account linking thing. That was a terrible idea, and I think that everybody agrees it was a terrible idea. So many people were about to get screwed out of their game, and Arrowhead was going to have to work overtime in order to appease all of these players who had already purchased the game. It was going to hurt a lot of people's reputations. It's a good thing that Sony backed down from this. I certainly wish that Sony would back down on other things and admit defeat where it matters in other areas like Stellar Blade censorship and censorship of other games, things that they have done in the past that they have still not rectified to this day. But this is still a step in the right direction and a huge win for gamers that should be recognized as one of the biggest victories in gaming history. Almost 300,000 people reacted to this and then stayed true to their word of reverting their own changes later on. Now, Sony was dishonest about this because they went back and changed their frequently asked questions to reflect the allowance of this PlayStation Network account linking thing. And that looked incredibly dishonest from Sony. I mean, they've looked incredibly dishonest in the past, but again, this is a huge win. But as I was saying, Spitz went on to say something that actually made a lot of people mad and most likely contributed to all of those negative reviews when that person said it's not like this is the first or even the 14th mainstream game to require a third-party account. That takes a couple of minutes to create, but if it's a deal breaker to have to take 120 seconds out of your day to enter an email and password and then forget about it, change your Steam review and make your displeasure known on a platform where it matters. So this person went on to say later, it's like, no, I really actually believed that. I wasn't trying to be sarcastic and cruel, but people saw right through this and in fact took that person's advice since you had a crap ton of negative reviews just swarm the Helldivers 2 Steam page. I'm sure that it's not solely that person's fault, but it was a huge contributing factor, absolutely. In another screenshot, Spitz responded to players that said, this will kill Helldivers 2 on Steam. Backpedal or you lose your player base. And then Spitz said, I thought you were refunding and leaving. Now, again, this person did go back and apologize, but you also had a community manager, Misty, who was causing a bunch of trouble too. But I think the post that got Misty into the most trouble is when they said, no, it's to allow us to ban people. That is the sole reason. So it's come out recently that the CEO and the team apparently knew months beforehand that all of this was going to go down eventually. But from what I'm seeing here is a failure to disseminate information to your moderation team, your community management team. They're not properly briefed on these things because they have zero understanding of why people are upset. They have zero understanding of why this is being enacted, and they're far too excited about being able to ban more people more effectively than usual. That is just a strange reason to put a smiley face and to be all excited about. I don't understand why these people feel so entitled and power hungry. And when these big situations from Sony come down the pipeline, these Helldivers 2 community people, these players who have loved this game for many months and have been playing it for a long time and supporting it, they come out and they try to express themselves, and these community managers constantly push back against them, showing their true colors, and they're not on the side of these gamers. So these gamers are trying to push back on a really huge issue, and they're being held back by the things that the community managers are saying. I think that what Arrowhead needs to do is to seriously consider looking into their community management team, vetting more properly, and having people on your team that act as a voice for your consumer base. Because I'll tell you one thing right now, if another issue comes down the pipeline and these community managers push back against the Helldivers community again, Arrowhead's going to look far more foolish than they have during this situation. I will tell you that right now. I fully believe it. One of the biggest contributors to this nonsense was the things that the community managers were saying. They're banning people's names from the servers, banning Grums from the server. You can't talk about Grums. If you talk about him, your message will get deleted. It's just the craziest stuff. You can say what you want about the freedom to be able to post whatever you want on social media. But again, Sony reversed this decision because of the review bombing from actual players of the game. And the only people who were upset about it were Kotaku and these community managers that are supposed to be the voice of your player base. So again, huge win for gamers, but the community manager stuff, I mean, that just needs to be thrown out the window, or it needs to be reformed from the inside out. And that is all I've got for you guys in this video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't had the chance to like it and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing to my channel so that you're always up to date on what kind of thing I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Later. Meow meow.